Well, thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Salient Times. The major story here says Emefiele, documents used to pay election observers $6.2 million, not from my office, as Mustafa testifies. And more hardship for Nigerians as prices of rice, beans, garri, others spike by 50%. Right, another story here, 60 years retirement age concerned staff of FMC Abeokuta writes HOS calls for removal of Professor Musa Olomu. And downstrip here, police arrest 2 for raping 13-year-old girl in Gombe. Another story at the top corner here, union protests ban on sachet alcohol in Abuja gives NAFDAC 14 days. Now, sleeping driver rams into truck, kills 5, injures 12 on Lagos-Ibadan expressway. It was a really sad incident yesterday. Hardship, Nigerian government moves to regulate food prices. Some of the stories you find on the front page of the Salient Times. To the Nation newspaper now, the major story here, still talking about Emefiele's $6.2 million trial. Buhari's signature forged, says ex-SGF. And rider here, Boss Mustafa Dissown's approval authorizing CBN to pay foreign observers during 2023 polls. 3 forgery suspects watch listed by Interpol. Federal government files charges in court. And another story, federal government knocks PDP governors for failing as leaders. They've done nothing to promote agriculture. And audit report, no record of funds recovered between 2016 to 2019. A really concerning one there. And that's the picture of the president with the Super Eagles and the coach, where Tinubu showered them with land, flats, and national honors. And at the downstrip, you have Shettima inaugurates panel on herder-farmer clash. At the top corner, Access Holdings awaits CBN's nod for Agbede as CEO. Payment of wage award for federal workers resumes. Those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Nation newspaper. And to the First News newspaper, still talking about Emefiele. Such documents used to withdraw $6.2 million cash from CBN vaults. Ex-SGF says Buhari's signature was forged to perpetrate fraud. And by the right corner here, federal government will set up commodity board to regulate food prices. That's the Vice President Shettima saying that. Tinubu confers national honors and Super Eagles. And account for how you spend increased revenue. Federal government tells PDP governors as party confirms Wabara, Board of Trustees Chair, Kafi Secretary. At the top corner, federal government to resume payment of 35,000 naira wage award to public workers. Some of the stories you find on the front page of the First News newspaper. To the Daily Trust. Bandits kill 2 policemen, abduct 40 in Zamfara. Family of 21 among captives. That's quite a sad story there. IMF confirms the return of petrol subsidy under Tinubu. There's one story you might find interesting to read. Court remands Kano TikToker Moja Kunya. Right at the top corner, rising production cost. Bakers begin nationwide strike February the 27th. Buhari Interpol $6.2 million for election observers. His signature forged. SGF says gas explosion rocks Lagos community. That happened yesterday. Some stories you find on the front page of the Daily Trust. To the blueprint now. Food security, federal government, malls, commodity board to tackle price volatility, others. And the writers here say will deploy security forces to protect farmers, activate more farmlands. Shettima is saying why we sealed warehouses hoarding food items. Kano government is said. And another story here, I returned to my South African club despite threats. Nwabali is saying, recall that he was being threatened by South Africans not to return to his club, the club he plays in South Africa. And another story under business, recipients of dollars from overseas to be paid in Naira. That's a story you might want to read. All right. Some of the stories you find on the front page of the Blueprint. And to the Daily Independent now, federal government asks for more time as Labour insists on strike ultimatum. Promises to fast-track implementation of 16-point agreement. Minimum wage should be reviewed annually, NLC president is saying. And stakeholders point ways to promote fair resolution of dispute. And Asagba in council confirms transition of monarch in stores regent. Another story here, Nigeria Republic retaliates, bans Nigerian flights from airspace. Rising insecurity, Senate grills security chiefs for over 5 hours. Okay, some of the stories you find on the front page of the Daily Independent. Ibraheem.
The Punch newspaper is the first cost of living. Federal government NLC meeting, deadlock. Bakers threaten shutdown. Strike will go ahead. Federal government negotiations not fruitful. NLC leaders insist. Federal government warns against unrealistic demands as Labour seeks yearly pay rise. Tinubu gifts Eagle lands, houses, national honors after AFCON. Track bandits with biometric systems. Senate tells security chiefs. Buhari's signature forged to withdraw $6.2 million from CBN, ex-SGF. Customers tired of estimated billing. Federal government tells discos. And above the masthead, Wigwe crash report ready March. Kinsmen declare 8-day mourning. Then showing car to deliver Punch 50th anniversary lecture, February the 29th. Vanguard, hardship. Federal government tackles PDP governors, others. Asagba of Asaba, Chike Edozien passes on at 100. Edo Guba, Idahosa carpets PDP governors over ad hoc delegates elections. Buhari signature forged to withdraw $6.2 million from CBN, ex-SGF, tells court. That's about it for the Vanguard newspaper. Next is the Platform Times. Legislators to discuss proposed creation of 3 new states in Southwest. Then drug addicts seek unconventional remedies, turning to corpses' bones. Expert warns. Distillery workers protest ban on sachet drinks. Monarch warns of economic fallout. Many never sways over elections. Top spenders always lose, says ex-UK High Commissioner Ishola. And above the nameplate, no part of Nigeria is spared of insecurity, ex-DIG Kokumo. Femi Falana urges federal government to decline IMF, World Bank offers. Next is Nigeria News Direct. Gas economy. Federal government declares tax waiver. Others for companies involved in gas pipeline construction. AFCON 2023. Tinubu rewards Super Eagles with national honor, land gifts. We are on course to register 200 million SMEs. CAC Registrar General. $6.2 million fraud. Ex-SGF accuses Emefiele of forgery. Naira depreciates further to 1,534 Naira to the dollar on NAFEX. And federal government to create additional land banks. Commodity board to tackle food inflation. The Business Times is next. Nigeria's banking industry lifts economy by 96.2 trillion Naira. Credit to government rises by 36.6% to 33.669 trillion Naira. UK signs landmark partnership with Nigeria to boost trade investment. Federal government mulls establishment of commodity board over rising prices. Why many state governments shun capital market financing for key projects. Nigeria's potential can produce 2.2 million oil barrels per day. NUPRC boards. And above the nameplate, we need improved process of exports at Nigerian ports, Apampa, and presidency request Interpol to apprehend 3 suspects. That's about it for the Business Times. Next is Business AM. SSA offers resources digital green ops in $4.5 trillion 2040 GDP. Legacy of visionary leadership, remembering the life of Herbert Wigwe. News, West Africa's workers for global economy. Talking about finance and investment, how big was the January equity rally? And then that's about it for the Business AM. Next is This Nigeria. $6.2 million fraud. Forged documents did not emanate from me. Ex-SGF boss Mustafa testifies. CBN staff, 2 others declared wanted for forging Buhari's signature in Emefiele's trial. Shelve electricity subsidy removal. Experts warn federal government, say it will worsen people's economic plight, aggravate cost of living, increase inflation rate, charge government to strengthen the energy sector. No going back on ground rent in Abuja, says Wike. Bandits kill 4, including policemen, in Zamfara, abduct 40 others. And on the ear of the newspaper, insecurity. Senate passes vote of confidence in military police. Last but not least is the Nature News. Abuja residents cry out over poor sanitation. Government promises monthly cleanup. Kano traders deny hoarding foodstuffs. Vow to keep prices fair. Salako pledges collaboration with media on environmental awareness. Akwa Ibom government to enact law on food prices. Nigeria's Environment Ministry and Mining Society seek to address environmental challenges. And federal government plans National Commodity Board to tackle food inflation. 2,000 street sweepers receive Lagos State identity card. And last but not least, you can read up on nature care, benefits of consuming elderberry. Elderberry. I think I'm seeing that for the first time. Elder. So, I know there's strawberry, there's raspberry. Oh, this is elderberry.
Elderberry.
Maybe it's meant for the elders.
Anyway, let's talk about the little time or the short time we have. Let's quickly look at this story that would interest a lot of persons because it's one of Nigeria's staple, talking about bread. But this time around, it's not just bread, but bakers. And I know that bread is baked, so it will be part of it.
That's right.
Bakers are saying that they will begin a nationwide strike the 27th of this month. Why? Because the federal government is looking at capping prices because of the continuous hike in the prices of food items and inflation. So the government is looking at having a board that would cap peg prices. And then they are talking about multiple taxation, cost of production, and government is saying that they want to peg prices. So they want to perhaps push home their grievances by going on strike. And it's concerning to me because when you talk about bread, it's one thing that an average Nigerian can or could afford, but in recent times it's becoming out of reach. And if we are saying, okay, we want to cap, and these persons are saying, look at the cost of production, look at the matters of multiple taxation. Instead of pegging these prices, can you help us address this matter of multiple taxation, for instance? Maybe that will help us adjust our prices, and we can, because people are in business for profit making at the end of the day, and so you cannot be pegging prices that is not necessarily favoring the person who's producing these items if you are not looking at some of the issues around their production.
There are some that are actually within the reach of the federal government. Others are also external. Look at the Russia-Ukraine war, where they are the largest exporters of wheat. And this wheat is also something that is used for bread and all of the confectionaries. So that is,
out of control of government.
Whatever is within the government's control, I feel
should be addressed.
Yes. So the multiple taxation of a thing is something that they also have to, work on. The FRS is, they are really, really all out to generate more revenue for the federal government.
Yeah.
And we see all of these things, but it's very important that they know the Nigerians are agreeing at the moment, and they have to do their
all that is necessary.
level best to ensure that things are within their reach.